Welcome to Convince Me, presented by BetMGM, folks. Week 1, NFL season, 11 a.m. The most exciting window in sports is wide open. We are making lines. We are making totals. We are making spreads. We are locking our lineups right now. And I got to tell you, the lines are moving every which way. Kansas City Chiefs dropped 5.5 to -4.5 against the Browns. The Miami Dolphins moved from +3 to +3.5 against the New England Patriots. The Detroit Lions up to +8.5 against the San Francisco 49ers. How does all this market movement impact you? How is it impacting our analysts? We're going to go through everything, all the picks, all the research, all the data. It's available in the Action Network app. It's for free. It's award-winning. We got Darren Rovell on the news desk. We got Samantha Previte on the fantasy news desk, plus our betting experts, Simon Hunter, Sean Kerner, Chris Raybon. Guys, we're starting with player props. Kerner, you're going to go first. I should remind everybody, if you want to win $100, reply to @Action Network HQ with how many total yards you think Dolphins receiver Jaylen Waddle is going to have. Kerner, you're up first. Give me the player prop you're going to try to convince me to take against your other contestants.
Let's have some fun here. Let's bet on a rookie wide receiver. I love betting on rookies early in the season before I think they're going to break out. And Jaylen Waddle is that guy today. He's the 6th overall pick. A lot of people compare him to Tyreek Hill. He's very exciting. He's going to be very dangerous with the ball in his hands. I saw one scout describe him as having like 8 eyeballs all around his head. He's video game like. And today he's going to have to step up because Will Fuller is serving the last game of his 6-game suspension. It looks like Preston Williams is going to be out, so they need him to step up today. He already has chemistry with Tua from their Alabama days. An interesting stat with Jaylen Waddle, he generated a perfect passer rating when targeted in 2 of his 3 seasons at Alabama. I think he's going to light it up today. You can get this at 37.5. I'm projecting this closer to 52. So I'd actually bet this up to 45.5. That's how much I love him today.
Kerner, I think you got about 98% of your player props right in the Action Network app last year. Everyone can go check it out. I'm also looking forward to seeing how Raybon is going to tell me I should bet some 3rd-string receiver for under 1.5 receptions, and we're going to get to that in a second. Simon, you go first.
Chad, you can start calling me the prop king because I came on here on our trial show on Wednesday, and I gave you Ezekiel Elliott under 55 yards. I have no idea what I'm doing with props. I am terrible at player props. So I would definitely follow Sean or Chris, but I'm going to try it out, Chad. So I'm going to keep it simple, stupid, and I'm going to go with Pitts over 44.5 yards receiving against my terrible Eagles. Eagles are weak at the linebacker position. I know they brought in Kerrigan, but he's not a cover linebacker. So to me, this is kind of the situation where Eagles don't have great cover linebackers. You got Pitts. Matt Ryan's going to try to get him involved. I love this number up to 50. So at 44.5, that feels a good value on Pitts.
I like Kyle Pitts, the Falcons rookie tight end from Florida, 4th overall pick, to go over his receiving yards total against the Eagles today. I'm not sure I like that because if there's one thing that the Eagles are good at, if it's one thing they're really good at, it's their defensive line is probably the class of their team and can outclass what the Falcons are doing. Don't give me your talk back yet, Simon. You'll get your chance, by the way. Raybon, go ahead. What disgusting idea are you going to try to convince me of?
Well, on opening night, I had Cameron Brate under 8.5 receiving yards. So I'm feeling good about my unders, feeling so good that I'm actually going to give you an over, Chad. I am going Ryan Tannehill over 1.5 passing touchdowns. This is an auto bet for me every week we see the prop, and it should be for you too. Ryan Tannehill in his 26 starts as a Titan has thrown 2 or more touchdowns 20 times. That's a 77% chance. That would be -333. The odds are only -135 right now. So you're getting massive value. I would bet this to pretty much any juice. Ryan Tannehill over 1.5 passing touchdowns against this Cardinal team that Malcolm Butler, their cornerback, retired. abruptly. Remember, they lost Patrick Peterson. And oh, yeah, they have to cover A.J. Brown, Julio Jones in the highest projected total game of the week. This is not going to end well for the Cardinal defense. Ryan Tannehill over 1.5 passing touchdowns.
But how do I buy into that if Arthur Smith, his offensive coordinator, is no longer there to get he's like his Svengali. His Svengali is gone.
Well, all right. Ask yourself this. Do they still have Derrick Henry? Yes. Can they still play fake to Derrick Henry? Yes. Do they still have A.J. Brown? Yes. Do they still have another receiver that can draw coverage from A.J. Brown in Julio Jones? Yes. They have all those things. And by the way, again, the Cardinals have no corners. So, slam dunk.
Listen, Kerner says nice things about every bet anyone's ever made ever. And he was shaking his head in agreement with me when I talked about Arthur Smith. Tell me, Kerner, why do I not want to do this with Ryan Tannehill?
So first of all, Sean Koerner from last year would say he likes all 3 player props, parlay them. Sean Kerner is saying go with Jaylen Waddle today. Although I do love that Simon is betting the over on a rookie. Like I said, I love investing on rookies early in the season. And Raybon is actually taking an over. So I think you should reward him so he continues doing that. We don't get a Peyton Barber under next week. But yeah, this Sean Kerner, rebranded Sean Kerner, says go with Jaylen Waddle over.
By the way,
it's too early for rookies.
Sean Kerner didn't do anything different than Sean Koerner does. He just basically said, go with my guy, but he didn't say anything mean about the other guys. The truth is, I like the Jaylen Waddle pick the best. I like the Jaylen Waddle pick because also I want people to win money. I want people to reply to @Action Network HQ with their pick for how many total yards they think Jaylen Waddle will have for the Miami Dolphins today. And you can win $100. And I'm going to go with Jaylen Waddle over 37.5 receiving yards in his first game. That is the first round to convince me. Sean Kerner, you win. Darren Rovell, what's happening in the Action Network news desk?
Just a quick story. We called a guy at ESPN Dave LaForte for 13 years. We called him Dave LaForte. And the day he left, he told us it was Dave Leaford. So at least we've only called Sean Kerner corner for like a year and a half. That's not too bad. But the name change is nice. Let's talk about the largest sides at BetMGM on tickets. Rams -7.5, Vikings -3, 49ers -8, now -8.5. All of those are 70% by bet. Every single favorite today by spread and by handle has the majority of the bets. Welcome to week 1. And then there's a total here. The Seahawks Colts, 78% of the money at BetMGM is on the under. It started at 52. It's now the largest moving total, now down to 49. So those are your updates. And then I would just say, as you said, at least at DraftKings, Browns are now plus 4.5 against the Chiefs. The Washington football team is now 2-point favorites against the Chargers, and there's a lot of movement going on. So if I have any more updates on line spreads, big bets, I'll get back to you.
All right, let's get to the sides because there is so much movement happening, so much week 1 uncertainty across so many teams, whether guys are coming back from injury, guys are getting announced that they're coming off the COVID list, people not really understanding how to find value in player movement, overinflated expectations for certain teams, like say the Patriots and Mac Jones, like say the Niners and Jimmy G and Kyle Shanahan being a genius. Kerner, take us into the sides. Give us your first pick.
Well, I mean, look how I'm dressed right now. Obviously, I'm going with the Dolphins plus 3.5 today. 65% of the action is on New England today, and I certainly get the appeal. We all know Bill Belichick is going to have a solid game plan today. He has plenty of time to prepare. However, don't underestimate Brian Flores for the Dolphins. He's a Bill Belichick disciple, really great defensive-minded coach. Miami's coaching staff is excellent at confusing quarterbacks. They disguise coverages and they blitz at a high rate. They blitz at the second highest rate last season. So it can be really challenging for rookie quarterbacks to go up against this defense. I actually bet on the Dolphins using this angle last year against the Chargers, and lo and behold, Justin Herbert had his worst game as a rookie. So I'm going to that. Well, today I think Mac Jones is going to struggle, and all in on the Dolphins. And on the other side of the ball, I know Tua stunk as a rookie. By any metric you look at, he was below average. However, if you compare him to all the other rookies that have played over the past decade, he was actually above average. So I'm very bullish on him heading into year 2. I think he's fully over his hip injury. He already looked like a brand new quarterback in preseason. And he gets Jaylen Waddle at his disposal today. So I love the Dolphins. And I love that we get 3.5 here. I think it's critical that we're getting that hook. I think the most likely outcome today is Patriots by 3, but having that extra half point is so valuable. So I love the Dolphins plus 3.5 today.
Simon, listening to Kerner, I feel like I'm listening to you and I on our favorites podcast because you have been all over the Dolphins. So before you give me your pick, tell me why you agree with Sean.
Everything you just broke down, definitely one of these things where I give the edge to Flores, where he's going against a rookie quarterback. And again, Mac looked great in preseason, but this secondary of Miami, I don't need to remind you that they are just, top 3 in the entire league. So to me, it's one of these things where I know the Patriots are going to be running the ball, but I think Tua's going to be able to keep up with it, the offensive weapons they have in Miami now. So I easily could see this game being 23-20 Patriots. So 3.5, I love that number with the hook.
All right. Well, then we're in agreement on that. You and Sean and me for that matter. I've already bet it. You can see it in the Action Network app. But give me your take for your best bet right now.
Let's get ugly, Chad. I've never gotten so much hate for a bet we've made on the show, and people hate the Lions this week. I can't tell you how many people have reached out to me like, "Are you sure about this? Do you honestly know what you're doing? Are you really professional?" Yeah, this is a value-based job, Chad. So if I have this number at 5 and it's up to 8.5 now, I love it. I really love it. And it's going to keep going up too. I could see again the +9, +9.5 at certain books. So it's one of these things where the public's going to have this money line and all of their teasers, the Bucks, the 49ers, and the Rams. That's the money line everyone's running together this year. And one of them is going to break. And it feels like this is the opportunity to take a big home dog. Again, I could throw you crazy stats. Jared Goff never lost week 1. Guess what? Jared Goff 0-3 against Jimmy G with the 49ers. So it's just like there's a lot of trends, different things you can try to play off of. To me, this is just a value-based number. And for a home dog to be this high in a fluky week 1, I love the value here, Chad, at 8.5 with the Lions.
Well, look, it started at 7.5. It's gone up to 8.5. You're saying it'll go even higher. There are trends galore that you can look at, and you can see a lot of these things at actionnetwork.com. But one thing you can almost always count on when a large road favorite is getting more than 70% of the tickets, that's when you want to fade that road favorite. And we are in that scenario today. I love this. The more disgusting, the better. You have to do gross things when you want to be betting on the NFL. That's how you win. It's hard not to agree with you on that one, Simon. Raybon, give me your take.
I'm going with the Philadelphia Eagles plus 3.5 against the Atlanta Falcons. I like this to 3. I think the Eagles win this game. I think the Eagles are the better team. I know Simon might be down on them because that's his hometown team, and no one can be kind of bullish on your hometown team. I get it. But here's the thing why I like the Eagles. And this will be a trend when you're looking for value. Offensive line, Jason Kelce, Lane Johnson, Brandon Brooks. You have the better offensive line. You're going to win up front on offense. On defense, Fletcher Cox, Derek Barnett, Josh Sweat, Brandon Graham. You have the better defensive line. You're going to win in the trenches on defense. So the Eagles are the better team in the trenches. They were number 2 in pressure rate despite all their injuries last year. Matt Ryan was below average dealing with pressure. On the other side, you have Arthur Smith coming over. Love him. But you also have Dean Pease on defense. What does he love to do? He loves to blitz. Jalen Hurts, top 5 in yards per attempt against the blitz last season. I think the Eagles have the more explosive quarterback. I think they have the more explosive offense now that the Falcons don't have Julio Jones. And they're going to win in the trenches. And before, I know you're going to ask me, so I'll just say this. The reason why I'm skeptical about the Dolphins going to Foxborough, they're weaker at O-line and D-line than the Patriots. Same thing with the Lions. That's why everyone's so down on them. they're not going to match up to that San Francisco line on either side of the ball. My bet is the only bet where you're going to win on both sides in the trenches. Eagles plus 3.5.
Simon, please give me the reasons why you like the Falcons, and let's put the final nail in Raybon's coffin right now in this particular segment.
He's taking the public dog of the week, Chad. He's about to get a quick lesson. The public dog never wins week one. So it feels like I think it's 48% of the money and 52% of the ticket right now is on the Eagles. And this line's been fluctuating between 3.5. Again, I just don't know why people would trust Hurts with a rookie head coach against. I think Arthur Smith's pretty smart with Matt Ryan. So if he can turn around Ryan Tannehill, who was left for dead, I think he's going to be able to work wonders with Matt Ryan. So again, I'm much higher than Chris is coming on Atlanta. I think Atlanta is a big sleeper team this year. So I think the Eagles, they might be better later in the season, but week one, I'm going to be fading the Eagles.
Simon, this is absurd. First of all, you're telling me to take the Falcons with 3 and the hook. That just sounds like a losing bet right off the bat. But second of all, how the public bets has no impact on the game. Like, it could be the public dog of the week. It could be the public dog of the year. These two teams are going to play football. It has nothing to do with how we're betting up here. So Eagles, that's the team to take, Chad. Do it.
Oh my God. Here's what I love. I love this dynamic right now, which is going to be Simon, who's examining markets, looking for value, and has made millions on processes like this, versus Raybon, who all season, Simon is just going to be calling him a geeky analytics square. Right now, that's basically what he just said to you. I got to tell you, Raybon, you know I love you. And this may come back to haunt me, but I am 100% going with the Lions plus 8.5, because you have to do bad things in week one. It might be the time when you have to do the most bad things. And if I got to dig myself out of a hole the rest of the year, that's going to be fine. But round two, it's going to Simon. Samantha Previte, you are up at the fantasy news desk.
Thank you so much, Chad. Yep, we're going to start with Chargers running back Austin Eckler. He is expected to play after missing practices this week due to a hamstring injury. The 26-year-old missed 6 games in 2020 due to hamstring and knee issues, but Ian Rappaport of NFL Network's Game Day Morning reported that Eckler will be, quote, a full go against Washington this week, and that his previous absences were, quote, precautionary. Even against a tough Washington run defense, you're starting him as a low-end RB1. Giants running back Saquon Barkley has been medically cleared to play in New York's season opener against the Broncos. The star running back tore his ACL and meniscus just a year ago, but he's been a full participant in full contact practices. On Friday, Barkley said, quote, I wouldn't go out there if I didn't feel confident that I could protect myself and be healthy for the team, end quote. This is good news for fantasy managers, though, in light of the Giants' slow and conservative approach this offseason. I wouldn't be surprised if he does not see a full workload in week one. He's officially listed as questionable, and the Giants play in the late afternoon slate. So there's always a chance that something could happen between now and then during warmups. But even in light of the workload concerns, his upside still keeps him well inside the RB2 tier with significant upside, meaning you're probably starting him unless you happen to have 2 or 3 other top 12 running backs this week. Giants wideout Kenny Golladay has also been medically cleared to play in this debut for the G-Men. He was back at practice this week after dealing with a hamstring injury, which was definitely concerning given that he missed 11 games last year due to hamstring and hip injuries. He's definitely a risk in this brand new Daniel Jones-led offense. And finally, the Giants are all over the injury report this week. We've got Giants tight end Evan Ingram. He's been declared out after suffering a calf injury in the 3rd week of the preseason. He's a crucial piece of this team's offense. He earned Pro Bowl honors last year. Former Vikings tight end Kyle Rudolph would be next on the Giants depth chart, but you can likely get better production from a tight end floating around on your waiver wire. Curtis Samuel from Washington is on IR after his groin injury flared up this week during practice. He's going to miss at least 3 games, which should mean more targets to go around as Washington takes on the Chargers for pass catchers Terry McLaurin, Logan Thomas, J.D. McKissick, and even rookie Diami Brown. And then Saints receiver Traquan Smith has been declared out due to a nagging hamstring injury that sidelined him for parts of the preseason. This leaves the Saints super lean at the receiver position against the Packers, with Michael Thomas out for at least another 5 weeks. Marquez Callaway could definitely step up in this situation, but he's going to be lined up opposite shutdown corner Jair Alexander. So keep an eye on tight end / wide receiver Juwan Johnson as a dark horse sleeper who has dual positional eligibility.
All right, Samantha, that is a great roundup. You'll be back for some start sit advice later in the show, along with Darren Rovell for more news from the markets. Let's get to the totals. Final Convince Me segment. Right now, I am on Sean Koerner in his Jaylen Waddle pick. I am on Simon Hunter in his Lions plus 8.5 pick. Let's see if Raybon can convince me to take his total at this point. First, we're going to shot with Sean Koerner. Am I saying corner or am I saying Kerner right now? I can't even tell.
I think the over 1.5.
2.5. 2.
All right.
We're at 2 now. Okay, the
Sean
over.
Kerner.
Well, the last one was kind of shaky. It's like 1.5 exactly right now.
Give me your total.
So I love the under 49.5 for this Packers Saints game. And the first reason is the location change. You know, we're going from a dome environment. You know, the Superdome is historically really good for shootouts. Normally, this would scream over in my model. However, we're moving this game to the Florida weather over at Jaguar Stadium, which I think helps the defense a bit. There should be some 15-mile-an-hour winds pretty much the entire game. So I think it's going to limit the deep ball just a little bit compared to the Superdome. And I'm projecting this to be the slowest pace game of the week. The Packers ranked dead last season in situation neutral pace of play, and the Saints weren't too far behind. They ranked 28th. So this should be a very slow pace game, even more so on the Heat. So, you know, on the Packers side of the ball, you know, there's some question marks on the offensive line. They're going to be without stud left tackle David Bakhtiari, of course. They're downgrading from all-pro Corey Linsley to second-round rookie Josh Myers this season. So I think there's some question marks along this offensive line that the Saints defensive line should be able to handle. I think the Saints are going to need to rush Aaron Rodgers this week because they are a bit thin at cornerback. So I think that's going to help mitigate that a little bit. And then on the Saints side of the ball, they just lost, you know, first ballot Hall of Famer Drew Brees. They're going to go with Jameis Winston to start the season, who has been an aggressive quarterback in his career, but I think Sean Payton's going to dial that back a bit this week and going forward. So this could be a little bit more of a conservative offense than we've seen Jameis Winston in. And as Samantha mentioned, you know, top receiver Marquez Callaway is likely going up against shutdown corner Jair Alexander. So I think they're going to be able to neutralize him. So all signs point to this being an under for me. I'm projecting this closer to 47.5.
You cannot be using the fact that Drew Brees has retired as a reason to take the under in this game. That would have been a reason to take the under when he was playing, Sean Kerner.
True. I'm just saying this is going to be a new offense, probably less efficient. And I know Raybon's going to mention Jameis Winston might throw a pick six, and he might be correct about that. However, this preseason, PFF did chart, you know, every throw for Jameis Winston, and he had 0 turnover-worthy throws. So I think he did learn behind Drew Brees enough, you know, not to turn the ball over. So I think this could be a little bit more of a methodical offense that marches down the field and settles for a field goal than we're used to seeing from Jameis Winston.
Simon, what do you got?
Well, Chad, I already gave you earlier in the week an ugly over, and that's moved 3 points. That's how good we are here. We move lines. So I did like Carolina Jets over, but it's gone from 40. I think it's up to 45.5 now. So that's too much movement for us. So let's take another ugly over, Chad. Vikings Cincinnati. My favorite thing that stands out in this game is the Bengals ran a lot of man last year, and that's literally what Kirk Cousins plays best against. So these are one of these situations where I see the Vikings scoring, but I also see a big bounce back from this Cincinnati's offense where Joe Burrow's first game. I love T. Higgs. I know people are down on Chase right now because of his quotes. I think this kid's going to showcase in this first week. Like Sean talked about, rookies really come out and shock people week one because teams don't really know how to prep for him. So to me, this screams like a back and forth kind of game. And the total right now is sitting at 47. I love that. I could see a worst case this ended up being a push. So no matter what, I feel like you're getting good money on this value.
It's so interesting. It's like the Bengals are a team. The Vikings are a team. So much turmoil, a lot of controversy around Kirk Cousins. Does he have that locker room? I always tend to shy away from betting games involving teams like that because there's so much unpredictability about the chemistry of those teams. Why am I not worried about that today, Simon?
I mean, that's hard to say, Chad. Chemistry is very hard to know. I don't know because it's week one. I can't really talk to what the team feels about Kirk, but I just look at the numbers and I think Kirk will be able to score in this game. This is a matchup that favors Phelan and Jefferson. And again, we have Dalvin Cook. Cincinnati's offense too speaks for itself. Joe Mixon and their wide receiving core. I just think there's a lot of pieces here that both these defenses struggled last year, and I continue seeing them struggle into this season.
Raybon, I have a feeling you're going to ask me to do something that is as gross as betting on the Lions plus 8.5.
I am, Chad. I'm going to tell you to go under on the game with the lowest total of the week, and that's Giants Broncos. It's there for a reason. You have Teddy Bridgewater versus Daniel Jones. Right away, before I even give you any numbers, that should scream under to you. But you have the Giants' worst rated offensive line in the league going up against the Broncos defense with Von Miller and all those guys on that front. And then the Broncos couldn't actually cover this year. So last year they were injury ravaged at corner. Now they have Fuller. They have Darby. Those were two of the top corners in the league. They drafted Surtain. Bryce Callahan was one of the top slot corners in the league. They can take away everything the Giants want to do. And remember, you have Vic Fangio in Denver. What is he going to do? He's going to play that too high shell. He's ahead of the curve. You know, most teams are playing single high these days. Daniel Jones was bottom 5 against two deep shells both of his years in the NFL. So there is nothing to like on the Giants side of the ball. And on the other side, the Broncos know that. They're not going to feel like they have to throw the ball all around the yard against this Giants defense that's always well schemed under Patrick Graham. I think people will remember the Seahawks game where they beat Russell Wilson with Colt McCoy. They're always going to be a well-schemed defense. And to that point, they went 13-3 toward the under last year, did the Giants. And then the under's 28-20 in Teddy Bridgewater's career. That's 58%. I would bet this down to 41. I think this game is a low scoring game where you're going to see two teams well schemed on defense just struggle to kick field goals back and forth.
All right, Simon, I got to ask you specifically about this one. You and I do the podcast, The Favorites, on Tuesdays and Thursdays. On Tuesday, we loved this under. On Thursday, you would change your mind. What happened?
I just had a lot of different people reach out to me and tell me my numbers are awful on this game. And I said, I feel like this is a smart play with the under. And their whole thing is they feel like I'm not taking into account the turnover rate for both these teams. They're saying this is going to be a big game where there's going to be a lot of short fields, a lot of turnovers. And I'm with them. I am so down on Daniel Jones that it just scares me where we know this guy has fumbling issues. We know he has turnover issues. And this line's moving really weird. It's now down to 2.5 with the Giants. So it kind of feels like this is going to be a wonky game that we're just, coming in. It looks like it should just be Denver in the under, but it's starting to slant towards maybe this is the Giants in the over. So it's just one of those where I was going to be on the under big. I'm staying away now.
All right. So when Simon says people were reaching out to him, Simon is a professional bettor, folks. So if people are reaching out to him, it's other people in the professional betting community. Guess what, guys? Raybon convinced me because I already want to like this under because it's so gross. I want to be miserable this afternoon. I want a reason to watch Teddy covers against the New York Giants today. So Chris Raybon, as much as it pains me, you have won the totals round of Convince Me. Samantha, what are we talking about for start sit right now?
Yes, I'm going to give you guys 3 starts and 3 sits that I like this week. I'm starting Jalen Hurts. He struggled last year as a passer, only completed 52% of his passes, but he's going against a Falcons defense that ranked dead last in the NFL in passing yards allowed. Hurts gives you crazy high upside and floor with his rushing. He is a locked-in QB1 this week and a plush matchup on the road in Atlanta. I also like James Robinson this week. Here's a guy that we faded all offseason after the Jaguars drafted Travis Etienne. With Etienne out of the picture, he immediately vaulted into RB2 consideration, which isn't even that high, considering that he finished as RB7.5 PPR last year. He's going up against a Texans team that isn't really good at much and ranked dead last in rushing yards allowed per game last year. He is a top 12 play on the road in Houston this week. And finally, I like Robbie Anderson. It's going to be Zach Wilson's rookie debut against his predecessor on the road, against an improved Panthers defense and behind a scary offensive line that made Sam Darnold see ghosts. I think that the Panthers dominate time of possession in this game, which means more targets for DJ Moore and Robbie Anderson. You're definitely starting Moore, but Anderson also has appeal, especially in light of his pre-existing relationship with Darnold as survivors of the Adam Gase era. And then I am sitting Justin Herbert. It's probably tough to sit Herbert if you drafted him as your QB1, but this week 1 matchup is just brutal. He's going to be on the road against Washington's top-notch front 7 and secondary that ranked second in passing yards allowed per game last year. In that same range, I'd much rather play guys like Jalen Hurts, Ryan Tannehill, and Matt Stafford over him. Miles Sanders, I'm also sitting him. As much as flack as the Falcons defense got last year, they were actually one of the toughest defense for opposing running backs. Like, yes, that could be a byproduct of their pass defense being so permeable that teams just threw all over them, but it is a tough matchup for Sanders. Toss in the fact that new head coach Nick Sirianni seems super committed to deploying a running back by committee in Philadelphia. I hate this matchup for Sanders this week. And then finally, I am sitting Kenny Golladay. He's a guy we just talked about on the injury report. He's been back at practice after dealing with this hamstring issue that plagued him for the majority of the preseason. He finished as the receiving touchdowns leader and earned Pro Bowl honors in 2019, but he is no stranger to the injury report. He is an intriguing flex option with wide receiver 2 upside when he's healthy, but he's an incredibly risky play given his history with injuries, potential adjustment period, and downgrade at quarterback/offense against the Broncos in the season opener.
Extra credit to you, Samantha, for using the word permeable in a NFL betting pregame show. And by the way, extra credit to Raybon, because everyone should read his matchup story from today, because he did an excellent breakdown of the Robbie Anderson, Sam Darnold connection. See, Raybon, I'm giving you a little bit of credit. Darren, what's happening in the markets right now?
Well, this is our big bet portion, and they're a little bit slow out of Vegas for us in week 1. But I will tell you there are 2 notables. This is coming off your conversation with Simon, and there are 2 money line bets on the Giants at Caesars, 70,000 and 50,000, 226. The first number was at plus 130, which leads me to believe that it was the second bet after. I have not been told it's the same guy. I bet it is, because the 50,000 was at plus 140, and then the 70,000 was at plus 130. So we have that. We also have a $55,000 bet on the Bills minus 6.5 against the Steelers at the Superbook. And that's all we have at this point. There's 2 other money line bets. I mean, as far as big, there's 2 other money line bets. There's a $50,000 bet on the Broncos money line. So I'm hoping that it's not the same guy who has the $50,000 bet on the Giants, and a $40,400 bet again at Caesars on the Cardinals money line. So someone likes the teams in week 1 who are in the 2.5 to 3 point dogs. And that's the story from here.
All right, well, let's recap that. Here we go. We got, I'm going to give everybody's bets, and then I'm going to remind everybody who I chose. Sean Kerner had Jaylen Waddle over 37.5 receiving yards. He had Miami plus 3.5, and he had New Orleans and Green Bay under 50. Simon Hunter had Kyle Pitts over 44.5 receiving yards, Detroit plus 8.5, Minnesota, Cincinnati over 47. Chris Raybon had Ryan Tannehill. This is terrible. Over 1.5 passing touchdowns. He had Philadelphia plus 3.5 against Atlanta, and he had the New York Giants and Denver Broncos under 41.5. That is also disgusting, but I love it. I love it so much. I'm going with Sean Kerner, Jaylen Waddle over 37.5 receiving yards for my favorite player prop. Simon Hunter lines plus 8.5 for my favorite side. Chris Raybon, Giants, Broncos under 41.5 for my favorite total. This has been Convince Me, brought to you by BetMGM. We will be back next Sunday, 11 a.m. Eastern at Action Network HQ. Good luck today, everybody.